welcome our hosts, Jay Cherish and Dame Deity. This is Millennial Intent, conversations that matter.
Today's topic may be a little controversial or maybe even a little sensitive to some. Maybe I shouldn't use the word fat, but society has used this word to describe plus size women who are undesirable in some eyes. There's so many stigmas and stereotypes about dating a single mom. They say single moms are not preferred, are desired. Adding being a plus size woman knocks you down the totem pole. They say that fat moms are undesirable, they lack self-care, they're undisciplined, and they're damaged goods. The only thing they're good for is their cookie, having sex, but they're not marriage material. Nobody wants a washed up woman that doesn't take care of herself. These are some of the negative stereotypes that people think about when they're addressing single moms and plus size moms. When a man sees a fat woman, he automatically considers her as ugly or sloppy or she doesn't take care of herself. And it's not, dating material. So we're going to go deeper in this conversation, talking about the untouchables, the fatties.
Bro, I'm just curious, as people put so much emphasis on single mothers, but is the same emphasis on single fathers because it took two people to make the children. I'm just curious on that. And I've been like looking at so many social media forums and different stuff like that. And you're right, I don't see it being equal. We're always talk about how, women with children are, damaged, and, you're taking a risk when you're with a single mom. But my thing would be, if I was to find a man who kept leaving and making broken families, I feel like that's more of a risk than, somebody who's maintaining their household. I don't know. I could be wrong, but I could be biased. I don't know.
No, I agree because dating is already complex as it is. Mm-hmm. And then when you add single motherhood to the mix, it's complex anyways. Yeah. And I think that a lot of men that make these women single families, they're the ones who's picking, like, you knew that she didn't have a baby. You're making these broken homes, and then you're making these unwritten rules in the street. And then you have so much to say. But when you knocked her up to have a baby, I know it's sounding like I'm getting a little upset, but
no, seriously,
it's really what they call them on the internet, the dusties, because first of all, I don't think that a person's weight equals to their beauty. It doesn't equate.
Yeah.
Because just because someone's fat doesn't mean, just because you don't find them desirable doesn't mean someone else doesn't.
It's funny how people say that bigger women are not desirable, but these are some of the first women you attempt to sleep with in silence. You just don't tell your friend you're in her inbox.
But they feel like because plus size women are easier to get because they have low self-esteem because of their size.
My self-esteem ain't never been that low.
But there's some plus size women that they say the weight brings dusties, or men that want to use you because you're fat.
But my thing is, you're calling the small women whores and different things like that because of how they dress, but you have a problem just because a woman is bigger, even though she's covered up and usually on her job. Like, it's like you can't win for losing. Like, no matter what somebody's saying something about you. But my thing is, why are you coming for somebody that's not coming for you? Like, most single women or single moms are on their stuff. They're not checking for y'all. Why are you constantly coming for a demographic that most of y'all were raised by? And most of you have gone on to create broken families of your own. I feel like the same stigma should, a man that has multiple families is just as big of a security risk, if not more so, than one mom who has one or two kids from the same guy or something like that. Like, that's one person, but you're going around making multiple broken homes. Like, in my opinion, I don't know. That's just how I see it.
No, but I see this conversation highlighted all over the internet. But I feel like there's
Mm-hmm.
deep bias in it when it comes to plus size women because they
Yeah.
target plus size women. They already target single mothers, but they target them even more. What they're so cruel when addressing these women because they're like, "Ew, you're disgusting, you're nasty." Instead of, for one, this is a human being.
Right.
This is a person. They have feelings. And then a lot of the time, sometimes if you're not secure in yourself, then sometimes you're plus size, they're a little sensitive too about their weight. Like, hey, like sometimes you got to be, I don't care what nobody says. You got to put your big girl panties on and not be so sensitive because I don't care what nobody says in the world. You can't let that dictate how you feel about yourself.
Yeah,
That's just
absolutely.
me personally. Like, I don't care what size you are. But the
Mm-hmm.
idea that a woman's size equates her lack of self care is crazy to me because I saw this one guy, he was online and he was saying that if she's fat, I wonder what her room looks like. And I'm just thinking, well, what does her weight have to do with how she upkeeps her house and how I guess they think about it as sloppy.
Yeah.
So they think of being fat as sloppy. That means you're sloppy in your household. And I know a lot of big women that houses are neat, kept, organized.
But
That
these are
has
the
nothing to
same
do.
men. These are the same men that have tread marks in their underwear. But go off.
But I'm just saying, I don't understand how that equates to their self care though, and lack
I,
of
but you,
discipline.
some people just like to eat.
Okay, that maybe that she likes the little, she liked the snacky at night. She liked the night grandma. I don't know, but this is
Night
the thing.
gremlin.
Why are you judging someone with these basic stereotypes, and you're talking about these people as it decreases their value?
And on top of that, my thing is like there's a difference between having a preference. You know what I mean? Like it's okay to have a preference that you don't want to date like single mothers. That's fine.
Yeah.
But to go after them is crazy.
Yeah, maybe because it's your secret fetish and you just don't want anybody to know. Because I've just learned that as you got older, the most people that yell, what they say, a hit dog hollers.
A hit dog or holly, yeah.
But most of the time, when they're always voicing their opinion, oh, I don't like fatties, I don't like this, I don't like uglies, those are the ones you're creeping with at night. Nobody cares. Because if that's your standard, it's okay, but you don't have to voice your opinion to make it look like, oh, I don't like this, and you want to beat on your chest. That just means you do. Like you're telling on yourself without telling on yourself.
And
Like
the statistics don't lie. A
the
lot of these
statistics
people
don't
who are
lie.
saying the same things are not matching up with like that reported evidence of what's going on out there. You say that you don't like fat single mothers, but the CDC disagrees and says that you made like half of them per year. So you're not telling the truth. You're eating those snacks.
Right along with her. You're in the house with her and her babies eating them gummy worms and those all those snacks in
Fruit
the
roll
closet.
ups.
Those fruit roll ups and the juice. What are the I don't even get juice anymore. So what's it called? The little juice boxes?
Mm-hmm.
You're right in the kitchen
Juicy
with them.
juice.
But why does a woman worth determined by her weight? Why is a woman's worth determined by her weight and her size? That's what I don't understand.
I guess men feel like because women basically equate them to how much money they make. Maybe it's their thing. I don't know.
But I
I
did
don't equate that to, you know, I don't equate men to that, but I guess there's some women who do. I don't know.
I did see something online that says that most rich people aren't fat. But
Really?
yeah, I said like if you're healthy, you have money, you have time to go to the gym and take care of yourself. But I also see a lot of people that are very wealthy and they indulge in what they like, you know? They
Yeah.
have the money to indulge. But a woman's outward appearance doesn't represent her character or her resilience or her capacity to do what she has to do. And I think that societies has put these things on because that's what you see in the media. That's what you see on movies. This is what the idea of a woman should look like. It's always a man telling a woman what she needs to look, what do they desire, how she's supposed to act. And this is what we think deem is worthy of
Mm.
wife material or worth being wifed.
Yeah. I just feel like It's fine to have your preferences, but it's another thing when you keep going after people that are not looking at you. Another thing is stop making fat single mothers. If you have a problem with so many of them, like your cereal, you got 5 different baby mothers. Stop making them if you have so much problem. And then another thing is you're you're hating something that most of you came from. So
Oh,
this
that's
is
a good
like
one.
this is an internal issue. So
Hmm.
I feel like people who hate on single mothers are generally people who have some sort of internalized issue with their own mother. I feel
Hmm.
like most of them hate their own mother secretly, and instead of that you've externalized it and you're going after a demographic that's not even, checking for you. Like like I said, totally fine to have your preference, but why are you bothering people who are not bothering you? Oh, it's a risk if I'm taking on a single mom, I'm
Hmm.
raising her kids.
Yeah,
The risk is her because she's bringing you in the household with the children.
exactly. And you don't even know what type of person this is. My thing is, most of the time when a man's saying that, he doesn't even have anything to bring.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people like, well, I'm single, I have a career, and all this stuff. And why would I bring myself into a situation with no baggage? And I go into a household with her baggage. And but my thing is, I guess let me make it a scenario. So the guy was saying that he was single, he had no kids, he married this girl who was had a child, and then always it was like the child ganging up on them. I guess it must have been an older child, I'm assuming. But that's also a disciplinary problem with the mother and her child.
Yeah.
However, most of the time when you're going into a house that the mother's already taking care of and she's a good mother, you're not doing anything but being her companion.
Right.
What are
Absolutely.
else are you bringing? Most of the time you're bringing more stress because you're trying to use her car, you don't have a job, you're just coming up to lay up and watch TV. They're not bringing anything worth bringing that makes you valuable. And if you're a man that is valuable and you see that a woman has a kid, you know, and it's going to stop you from beating your goals, then that's different. I think if you said, okay, I'm single, I don't have any kids, and I want a wife or a partner that doesn't have any kids, okay, I understand that. But if
Yeah.
you're coming into the relationship and you have 29,000 kids and this person has none, and you saying, I don't want to be with a single parent or another woman with kids, but you're bringing the whole village, that's contradicting.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what I see most of. I see that. Like that the bottom line is if you don't want single mothers and you think they're so undesirable, stop making.
Stop,
This is the
period.
bottom line. This is the issue, especially, and it's so prominent in the Black community. They have the biggest mouths, yet their pelvises is telling completely different stories and writing completely different chapters. You say you don't like fat women. Your pelvis said that is a lie. Your pelvis said that's a lie.
Your pelvis has said that's a lie. But
Mm-hmm.
then there's another thing. They're saying that single moms, just in general, being a single mom, you're used goods and you're not
Ooh,
desirable because you're all used up. Why would I be a father to the kids that their father didn't even want to be a father to?
I'm just trying to figure out what makes a person use goods.
But
I just not understand. Like the
but
logic is it's
I guess
so
it's a lot of men
flawed.
that saying that nowadays there's a lot of women that have multiple baby daddies. Maybe some are have 4 and 5 different kids, and each one of them have a different dad.
Then I think that's a bad decision making, and I wouldn't necessarily partner with somebody like that either. I feel
Exactly.
like Emma, and I'm not going to call children a mistake. Children are not mistakes, and if you're able to have them, God bless you. However, I feel like, and I feel this way, male or female, if you have a partner that has, you know, 5 kids and 2 or 3 different children's fathers that they're not married to, I think that should raise a red flag in your
Mm-hmm.
head because that goes into their decision making.
Mm-hmm.
And even if it's not a red flag at that particular time, I feel like those issues are not gone, because it's just like, we understand that people make bad decisions in partners, or sometimes amicable splits do happen. People get married and they're not who they were before they got married, and you go on to do something else. But why, with every relationship, did you decide to have a child? I think at that point, that's a character flaw, and I wouldn't want to be with anybody who doesn't have the self-control to see that bringing in a human being into random relationships is an issue. I don't have a problem dating a single parent that has three, two or three kids by one person, and say that person was married. That was a whole relationship that they had. And are they in those children's lives? I would definitely not date a man who had children and is not actively involved in his life, because that means you're going to do the same thing to me.
Exactly. And I think you're absolutely right on it. It's about this decision making. For
Mm-hmm.
one, she had lack of discernment where she brought in these men who didn't mean her any good. She should have picked up on the sign after the
Or
first
some
one.
women and men, they like to
Hmm.
trap other individuals. They think
That's true.
that having children is going to trap them into a relationship, and then they end up walking anyway.
Yeah. And they used to say a baby doesn't keep a man, and it
It showed
doesn't.
us, or a
Because if he
woman.
wants our woman, and if he wants to stay or she wants to stay, they're
Mm-hmm.
going to stay regardless of what you say. But the thing about it is you have to be careful. And I think that's another thing, that when you have a child, sometimes they say it's just so contradicting with the world, because either you're too sloppy and you're too choosing, or you have too many standards. Meaning, like,
Absolutely.
now the fact that you're a mother and you're good, juice goods, now you want to have standards. Well, I had those standards, and now that I see it didn't work in this relationship, I'm not willing to accept nothing less but the best for me and my child, because I have to set that example. But men go, but you have a kid, so
Or
I'm not picking you.
I saw some video where a girl is like, "Oh, well, you're not." The man was like, "Well, you're not going to sleep with me. You already got a kid. You're already like, what are you waiting for? We can't sleep together." The fact that you're telling somebody that because they have a child or because they've had a previous encounter, you don't know how that child got there. There are so many victims in the world that people have kids as a result of, an assault or something like that. You don't know how that child got there, and they may have decided to keep their child, and you went out and said, well, because you're a woman with a child, then that means we have to sleep together. That's like assault mentality. The fact that
Exactly.
you think that someone's personal body is less worth it simply because they had a child is crazy work.
Is
Like, what makes you entitled to somebody else's personal space?
mm-hmm.
That was mind-blowing for me.
And I just don't understand that either, because I just got a blank, because it irritated me so
Mm-hmm.
bad that you can think. And a lot of people say that, well, since she has a baby, she can bust it open really quick. Like, that's it. Like, you have to entertain. Most of the time when they already have a baby, it's easy for sex. Like, it's an open door. There, I know I'm gonna get it. She's not a virgin, blah blah blah. But when you have a child, it's like, I have a responsibility. I
Mm-hmm.
don't have time for someone just to be laid up in the house, and you're talking about, hey, I'm just using her for her cookies. No, but that's how some women, they lose themselves within their children, and then they feel like, okay, I'm not desirable anymore. I have a kid, and I don't want. I guess I got to take what I can get. And
Mm-mm.
some people think that way. And then you
Right.
have the other single mom that's like, hey, no, I have a kid. I'm not doing this. I'm not accepting anyone. My job is to be a protector, because automatically, if that man's not there, you're taking on that role as,
Yeah.
I have to protect my child.
Yeah.
I have to be, but there's some women that don't have that internal instinct that
Trust me,
automatically
I know some
triggers.
women that have their kids calling a different man dad and the same thing for the men too. I know some men that have a stepmom every other Tuesday.
But this is also maybe a little controversial with, especially in the minority community or black men that say that fat black women are undesirable, but they may go get a Caucasian woman and put them say, hey, it's right because it's not black. She's more submissive. She's this, but she may have 20,000 kids too. But you know what? They might, I don't know if they will wife them even more, but
Yeah, well,
there's,
statistics say that black men are not better to white women either. So it seems like we found the common denominator.
so it's the
The
men is the
math,
problem.
it the maths, and it seems like we have a common denominator. The people who's going around making all these broken homes are black men, but they're the most openly critical about who needs to be doing what, which is crazy work. Black men need to be looking at themselves, especially if you're telling, black women, you have to model the behavior that you quote unquote want. That's crazy. Like, fix yourself before talking about somebody else. I'm confused.
And that's the thing about them making their broken homes. And a lot of minority men, and they're known for this. I just think that before you go jump in a bed with them, is this person you wouldn't mind having a kid with? But you just jumped in a bed and then you find out you have her, you knock her up, and now you decide, oh, she's not the woman for me. And now I don't want to take care of this responsibility as bringing on a child. But then they always blame the woman, like, well, why did you open your legs and let this person, he was good for nothing, he was a bad seed, and you brought a child you're giving this person a baby. But it takes two. It
Mm-hmm.
takes two. If you knew that that wasn't a woman that you wanted to have or a possibility of having a child with, and you didn't protect yourself,
Right.
there's choices that we have. And the thing that we don't discipline our boys to have self-discipline over your body parts is an issue for me.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's
Because you're
good.
creating this. You're letting your boys, well, boys will be boys. Yeah, now you're creating more single dads instead of them taking this is a responsibility.
Yeah.
When you have sex, there's the consequences,
Right.
good or bad. There's
Yeah.
nothing about the 5 minutes of feeling,
Not the 5 minutes.
because usually that's what they do, and then you don't go
Oh,
until
you
there's
want some juice?
diseases, there's babies, not just the babies, but I mean there's so much, and we don't talk about self-discipline because it's like everybody's doing it. Everybody doesn't know how to control their hormones.
Yeah.
And that's the issue, that these men are going around having these kids, creating these broken homes, and continuing this negative cycle into this generation. And it just keeps going until
Mm-hmm.
somebody stops. Family builds wealth. It's just plain and simple. When you get a woman or a person that's behind you, that you have equal and common grounds,
Mm-hmm.
and you talking about success building,
Yeah.
that's what it comes from. But if you I don't want to sound churchy, but your lust of your flesh gets the best
No.
of you. That's what happens. You're creating these homes. And I'm not saying I'm perfect because I've done the same thing, but I've learned from my mistake and I'm not going to keep doing it. I'm not going to have 20,000 kids
Mm-hmm.
when I learned the first time. I'm like, okay, this is what happens. I'm not going to be gullible anymore. And I kind of shut myself off from the world.
Right.
I'm not going to keep making the same mistakes over and over again. Because with
Mm.
every mistake it becomes a learning. This is a learning tool. Like, do you keep want to go through this?
Right. No, I completely agree with you. And it's just, it needs to be accountability on both sides. Like the same thing for the women. If you see the man, is not preferable, don't keep having the kids.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
But it's only for a good time and a fun time, I hear. It's like, but that good time, you know that good time is going to turn into the worst mistake of your life. And a lot of times they say, single women are always playing the victim game, the blame game, saying, it wasn't my fault that I become a single mom. He wasn't this way when I started. He was Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, and he changed. And a lot of times men are liars. but it's up to you to find that, use that discernment, that women intuition to know that he, because most of the time men are liars. This is point blank and period.
I think most time people are liars, but I think that is a applicable choice for your first transgression.
Mm-hmm.
It is not applicable if you kept going with your transgressions.
Mm-hmm.
If you knew the person was like that and you gave them a chance, okay. And then say, for instance, a couple years went by, you're still with this person, everything's okay. And then the person suddenly does it again. Why bring 3 more behind that? That part I don't understand.
I think that sometimes people put people in certain position as placeholders. Like they have this person in their life and they know they don't want to get married. And that's another thing. I guess everybody's goal is not to be married. Let's say it that way. But you need to know if that person has the same desires that you do. So if you want to get married, you want to have a family, or you want to not create broken homes, you need to have that conversation, because he's going to tell you based off his characteristics. It's going to tell you, even if he doesn't, the words don't come out of his mouth, his actions will speak louder than anything. So those are the conversations. Those like, oh, I don't want to run off a man if I talk about, having a family or getting married the first date. No, but you need to see where that person's mindset is.
That's the first conversation, because at our big grown ages, if we are not having the conversations immediately, then what are we doing? Because I don't want to sit there and waste time with you. We don't know when we're going to get called. So why would I want to sit here and waste time going in 2 different directions if that's not the direction you want to go in?
I agree. I feel like it only deters the person that doesn't need to be in your life. Like,
correct.
I don't want to waste time if knowing you and me aren't on the same goal. We're not on the same road. We're not on the same roadmap. We're 2 different lives. Why waste the time? Because, but I just want someone to be with tonight. But your tonight is going to turn into a forever 18 years of distress. It's worse than
a situationship.
A situationship can turn into what they say, you have problems for 18 years with this child support. But most of the time, child support, unless you're a multimillionaire, that's not going to do anything for you. Mm-hmm. Doesn't take care of the sleepless nights. It doesn't, you got to raise the kid regardless. It's going to be way more than that $300 you're sending over in a month.
They be going off about that money, sir. Trust me when I tell you, you have the cheap end of the deal.
Exactly. Let's switch places.
Trust me when I tell you.
Let's switch places if men help to do that.
If you only knew how much diapers cost per month, it don't cost that much. Yes, it does.
And yes,
it does. Formula alone will take you out of $300. Daycare alone will take you out the deal. Like, it's daycare. Per week. Mm-hmm. Per week, sir, you have the better end of the deal. Just pay the money.
That's the easiest way. I'd rather just pay the money and give them the.
Listen, I said if I ever got married and we had kids, I'm paying the child support. And we divorced, I'm paying the child support. I'm gonna be the single daddy.
I'm gonna be the single daddy. Live my life. Just imagine.
I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. You take them all.
Easy. But it'll be easier for a man, because a woman is always there. Even a woman with no kids, and it might be a good man, she will be easy and happy to take up the slack. It's easy for a man to get a woman.
They don't think so.
No, but it is. They can go by, if maybe not the woman they want, but it's easy for a man, because women, some of them just don't care.
They want the gold digging hussies, but then they want to complain about, oh my gosh, she wants to for my money. Sir, nobody wants you for your $23 an hour. Just so you know.
And I don't listen to those sob stories anymore where the man's like, I take care of my responsibilities. She was a witch. I'm just like, what did you do, sir? I don't even trust you anymore.
I mean, some of them, I've seen the spectrum on both ends. I've seen the people who are genuinely in good relationships, and then the dudes messed them up, and bad choices on both ends. And I've seen the evil trappy women too. I've seen the women who just kept getting pregnant by different dudes. And I know this is like crazy, but I dislike the women more. And I'm
I
gonna tell you why. Because I feel like it's your body, your choice. Why would you intentionally keep making the children? Because I feel like the birth control aspect is on you. I don't feel like it's necessarily on that person to decide how my body is going to stop producing kids. But why would you keep making full grown people, or excuse me, you're not making them, but still, why would you keep making extra people to damage? And we know how vicious, some single mothers can be if the child looks like the dad, or how mean they could be, or good, they're good to one child and not the other child. Like there's a whole lot of nuances that comes in between that, depending on, if they're trying to get back with the baby daddy or if they're not. I just don't understand as a woman, because it's a woman talking to a woman. Why would you keep bringing kids in the world for them to be broken? Like, why would you want to? If you're a parent if you're a woman, and I'm woman talking to woman, if you're a woman that came from a broken home, why would you intentionally want to make a broken home?
mm-hmm.
Like, you know how that feels, and it doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
So, again, we understand that mistakes happen, we understand that choices are made. There's always forgiveness in that. But I would not forgive a mom who just kept making them, because after that, it's not a choice, it's a lifestyle decision. And that's, you're fast and loose at that point. And I don't mean
Mm-hmm.
like fast and loose physically, I mean like your mental, capabilities are fast and loose, and I don't trust you. I just don't feel like anybody that has that many kids from that many children, and the same thing for the men, anybody who has that many, I don't feel like it's a mistake. Oh, I'm a good dad. How can you be a good dad to five kids from five different baby moms? I
Mm-hmm.
don't believe you. Can you be financially present? Probably somewhat. But there's no way that you're giving that child that same stability as if both of you were in the same household. No matter what you say and how good of a parent you are, there is no substitution for having two parents in the same home and growing up with that stability. And it's not even about the money, it's just about that balance of yin and yang, and understanding the attitude shifts and different things like that from having both parents in your house. It will never be the same. I don't trust anybody who is not willing to protect themselves, because it's like, you don't care about your health, not to be and lay with all these different people. And I wonder if people really think about that when they're your 5 minutes, as you said, when they're sleeping with this person and sleeping with that person. You don't care about yourself enough to stop, because you could come out with something that's lifelong that you can't get rid of. Like, I'm just so confused as to people's thought process when you're making all these children. Like, I just don't understand. I'm lost.
And that's what I don't understand either, because like you said, especially those, there are those type of women, but what I don't get is when there's a good guy that maybe don't have any kids, and then you go with someone with their characteristics, and that's another thing with your flesh, you're looking at the person because maybe they're
Mm-hmm.
aesthetically pleasing to your eyes, and you're going after that out of lust, and then you find out, oh, okay, she's a horrible person, she's a horrible mother. And those are the choices we make when we indulge in people.
Mm-hmm.
And that we have to be mindful of that. And I think that we don't take accountability as people. And it used to be shameful to go around. And I was looking at other cultures that you can't just go and say, oh, I want to have sex out of wedlock and make it popular like it is. And we have this revolution of, I can do what I want. This is America or whatever. But it used to be, you couldn't just be so open with that. You
Yeah.
had to have more integrity about your lifestyle and what your goals were. And I think we prioritize sex so much, we forget. And then a lot of times, the people that have a lot of kids, they don't have any other drive. They have nothing else going. Not saying it like that. Let me not say that. I might misquote. But I'm saying that when you don't have anything else going on for yourself, and some people use sex as their pastime, that's their goal. They don't
A
have nothing else.
hobosexual.
Yeah, I'm saying there's nothing else. But there's some people that they can keep and have their lifestyle and do what they want to do. But I think there's consequences when you bringing children to the world. I guess
Yeah.
then they're, you have abortion and all that other stuff. And I just think
But
that
all those things take their toll on you too.
they take your toll on you too, but you have to do it within boundaries when you're having these relationships with people. And maybe some people love kids, and a lot of times some women have babies because they feel like, okay, I need love, or that's something that's going to love them like nothing else.
Girl, you better get a Care Bear.
But it's a human being. They're going to come up with their own feelings and desires. They're not going to want to be around you when they get older or whatever. Maybe they do. I don't know. But if you lack the resources and you don't have I don't know, maybe
you said the word right there. If you lack the resources, shut it off.
Maybe shut it off. Clink, clink, close it up.
You heard Medea. Clink, clink.
But instead of blaming the world for your situation, I just say do better. Yeah. Do better. And stop stereotyping just because someone's overweight or it shouldn't equate to their value.
Yeah.
But like
I understand preference. But my thing is, a person can always lose weight. But your attitude towards somebody because they're overweight is an issue. I don't have anything against bigger dudes, but they're not my preference. Does that mean that I'm not going to talk to somebody? You don't know who you're overlooking because you don't know what somebody else is going through. You don't know what eating disorder they may have or what family trauma. And I'm not telling you to take on somebody's weight because we don't need to be trauma bonding. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that you never know what somebody is going through. You don't know if somebody is already on a weight loss, journey, and maybe they've lost weight and this is not even their biggest weight. You just don't know before you're talking. It's just like, have your preference, but there's no reason to be nasty about it is all I'm saying. Like, totally have your preference. Like, go for it.
I just remember that everybody's unique. Everybody has their preference, their basis on what they want to date, how they want their wife or partner to look or their husband to look. That's your individual. But don't put your viewpoint on anybody else to force them. It causes harm in society. You're so everyone's entitled to their opinion.
Right.
However, you to body shame or to justify a woman's self-worth based on how they look, it's ridiculous. We're not living in that time. And I think women, before you go and have a relationship with a person, think about it. Is this the person that you would want a child with? If he's showing you inconsistency now, what do you think he's going to show you later on if you have a child by him? Just focus on what you want in your life. I'm not judging anybody because, you live your life. I don't judge. I'm not here to judge you. But I just think, so a woman's value is not based on what she looks like or how many kids she has. It's based on her own demeanor, her lifestyle, her beliefs, how she treats you, how she treats her kids. Whatever's glitter, what they say, it might glitter, but it's not gold.
Absolutely.
So what are some of your closing words on that?
Y'all just stop being out here hoeing. Just stop hoeing. Yeah, I think we all can take something from just making better choices as people. And, nothing wrong with preferences, but preconceived notions will have us all single for a long time. We all have our flaws. We just have to figure out which ones we can live with. So make better choices, y'all. Make better choices. That's all.
Make better choices and choose better for you and yourself. Choose better. All right. Well, that concludes today's conversation. Can't wait to see you next time.
Bye.
To hear more from Millennial Intent, hit like and subscribe, and don't forget to tell a friend.